Human development is an important study as it enables us to understand that there are different developmental stages across our whole lifespan, where certain changes can be expected. While it is known that throughout adulthood people can experience certain stages at different points in their life, during childhood each developmental stage is very important as it will contribute to their transition into adulthood over time. Child development has three distinct factors which can be defined as nature or hereditary, nurture or environment, and agency. There are also three developmental domains: physical development, cognitive development, and social emotional development. Later on in this presentation, these developmental domains will be addressed when discussing the developmental stages. The following theories of development will be discussed to outline the importance of the role they have played in the studies of child development. Piaget's theory of cognitive development focuses on how children acquire new knowledge and then use that knowledge. Piaget aimed to understand human intelligence when he started studying children's everyday behaviours and the effect these behaviours had on their thinking and reasoning. Piaget has 6 principles which underline his theory. Children are active and motivated learners. Children organise what they learn from their experiences. Children adapt to their environment through the processes of assimilation and accommodation. Interaction with physical environment is critical for cognitive development. The process of equilibration promotes increasingly complex forms of thought. Interaction with other people is equally critical, and children think in qualitatively different ways at different levels. Piaget went on to explain his theory through the 4 stages of cognitive development. The first stage was sensory-motor stage, which started at birth. The second was pre-operational stage, which started at the age 2. The third stage was concrete operations, which started at about 6 or 7. And then the final stage was formal operations, starting at around 11 or 12 years. Each stage records the children's thinking processes and what they are able to understand. Lev Vygotsky was a Russian psychologist who believed that adults had a large influence over a child's cognitive development, whether that be through teaching them how to use certain physical and cognitive tools, presenting children with activities that will teach them to problem solve, or through shared learning experiences. With an emphasis on the social and cultural factors to a child's cognitive development, Vygotsky came to his theory, sociocultural theory. This theory had a focus on nurture and how outside influences such as social interactions and language can affect a child's cognitive development. To express this idea, Vygotsky developed 4 genetic domains which would help the study of cognitive intelligence. The phylogenic, humans undergoing natural evolution; the cultural historical, social activity of humans; the ontogenetic, individual lifespan; and the microgenetic, immediate events. This is a cognitive theory which has blended views from Cattell and Spearman. This theory explains cognitive development through 2 different components of general intelligence. First one being fluid intelligence, ability to acquire knowledge quickly and thereby adapt effectively to new situations. The second being crystallized intelligence, knowledge and skills accumulated from one's prior experience, schooling, and culture. Cattell stated that biological factors largely affected one's fluid intelligence, while crystallized intelligence was a mix of both hereditary and environmental factors. Fluid intelligence would also decrease in adulthood, while crystallized intelligence would continue on throughout one's lifespan. Erikson was a psychodynamic theorist who focused on the impact of the conscious state, such as being sure of one's identity. He believed that people would grow from dealing with life's challenges. Erikson explained his theory in the form of psychosocial stages. There are 8 stages which define age-related challenges and significant events one would have to overcome. The theory suggests that one must complete the first stage in order to move through to the next. Erikson's theory set a great basis on human development and addressed the importance of changes which can happen over a lifespan. However, there are several limitations to Erikson's theory. One of the major limitations is that each stage is not completely accurate to what happens at that age level. It is especially seen in children that not everyone will develop at the same age, and there are cases where children and adults will miss a stage but come back to it later on in life. Erikson's theory does not take into account cultural differences and how they can be different for each child. Lastly, we have Kohlberg's theory of moral development. Lawrence Kohlberg examined children's moral development and found that despite what previous theories had said, children were in control of their thought process and were able to carefully think through the correct action to take in different scenarios. Kohlberg found that both adults and children will construct their moral reasoning in different ways based on their beliefs. Through studying moral dilemma, Kohlberg explained moral reasoning in 6 stages, which are grouped into 3 general levels of morality: pre-conventional morality, conventional morality, and post-conventional morality. The first stage in the developmental stages is infancy, which is from birth to 2 years. This stage marks the start of a new life where basic concepts are met, such as human connection, exploration of motor skills, and investigation into the surrounding environment. At this stage, attachment is formed with the caregiver as the child craves a loving interaction. As you can see, here's where we start to talk about 3 domains: physical development, cognitive development, and social-emotional development, and what is expected at each developmental stages within these domains. The second developmental stage is early childhood, which is from 2 to 6 years. As the child is now developing and moving away from basic concepts, they will now explore more with creativity, imagination, and play. At this stage, children will see a fast development with their communication and language, beginning by using words, but then being able to put together a sentence. They now start to understand the environment around them and how they can play a role in that environment. As you can see under physical development, this is where they start to run, skip, and tumble, and their fine motor skills are now developing, and they're able to use scissors, and potentially they're starting to write as well. The third developmental stage is middle childhood, 6 to 10 years. In middle childhood, children will move away from their role-playing and start focusing on everyday activities such as learning to read and write or playing a game which includes rules. Friendships are very important at this stage, as children will learn and develop new skills from their friends. They also start to understand what is expected from them and begin to want to do the right thing. It is seen that in cognitive development at this stage, their development of knowledge and thought processes has been broadened. They can also focus on one thing for a longer period of time. And the final developmental stage seen with children up to 12 years is early adolescence, which is actually from 10 to 14 years. In early adolescence, it is seen that children begin to gain maturity and move away from childlike behaviours. As puberty approaches, both boys and girls go through a number of physical and emotional changes. So they start to think about how others perceive them and reflect on themselves. Their thinking is now advanced as they problem solve and think much more logically and abstract. This encourages them to start wondering about problems within the world and the school and why these problems cannot be fixed. In social-emotional development, there is seen a variation in their mood which happens more frequently. They will also start to disguise their emotions in certain situations, for example, not getting excited about something that is considered uncool amongst their friends. It is very important in child's development to highlight that there are several cultural differences which may affect a child's development and learning.